What's going on, guys? Coming to you live right out of Hog Holler, Tennessee. You might hear the helicopter in the background. These helicopters have been flying over all morning. That's why I'm out here this morning. Supposedly, a buddy of mine last night, actually two buddies of mine, supposedly saw something in their cattle field. Oh, look at that big skint place on the ground. Now, I don't know if that's what these helicopters are doing out here or not right now. He told me that he called the local law enforcement, turned it in. He said something big and something hairy. And then his neighbor, the next holler over, said something got after one of his calves. And they shot at it. And that would be just down the holler right here where we're at. So I'm out here today and I'm just sort of looking around. Coincidentally, all these black helicopters seem to be flying low over the area. I know they're not looking for cash crops because that's all been cut. So I don't know. Kind of odd. But while I got you in zone here, I thought I would relay a story to you. I don't like telling other people's stories, unless I know them real well, or they're some sort of kin to me or something other. Because you just don't know. You wonder how true the story is. So, I'm going to relay a story to you. I've told you some of this story before, I think, or pieces of it. I've skipped around. I got a video about the Boone National Forest. You want to go back and check it out. Well, this kind of goes along with that video. There's been a lot of talk lately about dogmen in the woods and cryptids. And right off the bat, I believe in them 100%. I believe in them. You can't live around these Great Smoky Mountains and get out into the woods like I do and not believe in them. Sorry, I'm just checking out the tracks and stuff here while we talk. But you don't live around this area and hear and see the things and not believe in them. Just like those two old boys was talking about last night or this morning. And I could tell they were serious and I could tell they was worried. This ain't the first time something like that's happened. So anyway, getting back to the dogmen, there've been a lot of people and channels on here that talk about the cryptids back in the woods. I think you're starting to see a whole lot more of them because we're starting to encroach on them. We're developing on some of their territories. And then of course, a lot of them, they just live right in the suburbs. Stuff I've heard. But we used to go hunting in the Boone National Forest there. 17 years in a row, something like that. And we'd hunt with this old guy, and he was a forest ranger. And he'd get to telling us some stories. Now, the thing you got to understand is there was no internet in those days. We're talking early to mid 80s, and then right on up to the late 80s nearly. But there was no internet for you to hear stories and repeat stories and pass them around. But he got to telling us about a place called the Land Between the Lakes. And he told us that there were some people that were attacked there and actually killed. And this was the first we'd heard about this. Like I say, there was no internet to pass these stories around. If you look around on YouTube right now, you'll hear a little bit about that. You'll hear about the Land Between the Lakes. You'll hear about the strangeness in Fort Campbell. And you'll hear about that's a neat track right there. And you'll hear about the different things that go on in that area. It's an odd area, very strange. But he told us these people went up there, went camping, a family, and they were attacked by one or more of these things. And of course, he didn't know a whole lot. He was just a forest ranger. His son was in the military, and as was his neighbor. So a lot of stuff he got from them. Then the rest he knew from working in the forest. So he would tell us this story, you know, about every time. Number one, to keep us pretty close to the fire, and number two, to keep us safe. And we was interested in it. We wanted to know more about it. So every year he would add a little more to the story. He'd tell us a little more. You know, what happened. As he got older, he got more comfortable talking. And I'm gonna string all his stories. I'm just gonna tie it together here in one story for you all. That these people were killed at Land Between the Lakes. And the military knew about it. Let's see what this is over here. The military knew about this happening at the LBL. So they went out and set up these fall tracks to try to catch one of these things. And that was his very words, to try to catch one of them. You know, I caught that pretty quick. Try to catch one of these things, and he said they did. Trying to see how fresh this is. He said that they were, don't seem to be too rotted. They were successful in capturing one of these things. I think he was telling me that they used a fall trap where they dig a hole in the ground and cover it up. You know, and I don't know if they hang some sort of bait or live animal. I don't know. I don't know how that works. I know how we set them up around here, but I don't know how the military's done their particular ones. So he said they captured one of these things, and he said they took it back to Fort Campbell. And he was under the interpretation they took it back, and you know, of course they're going to study it, but kindly trying to make the LBL a little bit safer place for people also. Well, that wasn't their intention at all. Coming to find out, he said that it was relayed to him that they actually tried to make a hybrid with this thing. That evidently they had another one from somewhere else. And they wanted to make a hybrid. And they wanted to make some sort of aggressive soldier, if you will. You know, I don't know if they use just regular man DNA. You know, I'm not a scientist, so I don't know how that would work. But they tried to create a hybrid. We asked him if they were successful, and he said he never could get an answer on that. He thought that was more than we wanted to know, and more than they could tell him. So the next part of the story is, we go hunting with him a few years later. He tells us that the one that they had captured, it had escaped. And for all he knew, it was the one they captured. You know, who knows, it could have been one of these hybrids. But he said that it had escaped. And it was around the Boone National Forest. So all these areas are real close together. And the LBL is not that far as the crow flies from Boone. So one of these things escaped, and he thinks that's where the fence comes in. That's in the Boone National Forest. That they either had it contained, or they thought they had it contained. Hadn't been seen in that fenced-in area. The last time that I had talked to the old man was years ago. I don't even know if he's still alive. Hadn't been seen. They were under the impression that it made its way back home. And just like anything, we had a bear around here that they took off, and it kept coming back. I think they finally took it off as far as Canada, and it still made its way back to the Great Smoky Mountains. I forget, they called it Bear 52, or it had a number, but I can't remember what it is. But it kept coming back. And an animal will make its way back home. So they thought that this thing was making its way back to the LBL. Or did it stay in Boone? His thing was that these other dog men knew that it was being held there at Fort Campbell. How, I don't know. Did it set off a pheromone? Did it howl? You know, did they try to draw others in? Don't know, but he said the Daniel Boone National Forest sort of filled up with these things for a little while. And, you know, I ain't been up there in a long time, so I don't know what the status is of that now. I know that's an odd, mysterious place. Anybody that lives up there and around that area can testify to that. So, the thing I got from his story was when he said they captured one of them. You know, I'm thinking one of them, so there's more than one. And are they in the Daniel Boone now, or are they in the LBL, or are they running back and forth between the two? Last I'd heard, they'd been stuff spotted in the Daniel Boone. I got some buddies that go up there and hunt. I've got some buddies that go to the LBL. Quite a few of them go to the LBL and hunt. And I'll tell you, they're very nervous about going certain places over there in the LBL. I can tell by talking to them. Wow, it looks like something set down right here. I don't know if y'all can... I don't know how this shows up on this camera. A big skint place. Right here on the ground for no reason at all. That's odd. So I was going to pass this video on to you guys, for the people who want to go around that area, poke around, look around. You know, I don't want to see none of my followers disappear. If you do that, please be careful. I'd also like to recommend a few of these channels that talk about this stuff. Got some guys who go to the LBL regularly, and they go to other parts of the Smoky Mountains and other parts of the woods. And if you hadn't heard of them, it's Hellbent Holler. Hello from Hog Holler to Hellbent Holler. How y'all doing? I recommend that channel if you like live discussions about these cryptids, about dogmen, and if you like seeing people go out and look for these things, go out and do in the field study, then you'll enjoy that channel. Got some interesting stuff. They're good people. If you go over there and you hadn't heard of them, you should tell them South Force 10 sent you. And then there's a lot of other channels out there too, who cover a lot of this stuff, the missing person mysteries. You know, they don't really tell what they think's happened. You got David Politis, and I'm sure he don't put his finger on what's going on. He lets you draw your own conclusion. And a lot of these other interesting channels. You know, you got some of the Florida cryptids going on. Scott Carter or Carpenter, I don't really know what his name is. He's my neighbor over here in Alcoa. But a lot of these channels, community have got together and started talking about this and trying to educate themselves and educate us, and maybe figure out what's going on, maybe solve some of these disappearances also in the woods. So I do recommend these channels if you like that stuff. If you like the cryptids like I do, and you're interested and you like to get out in the woods and just look. I noticed the helicopters have stopped flying over. I shot a video earlier and I went ahead and deleted it because you couldn't hear anything but helicopters. So I reshot this video. Now they're gone. But anyhow, guys, somebody asked me why I don't put out more content. You know, I don't really edit my content. I don't like to edit, and I like to, you know, tell the truth when I can, which is all the time. There's more footprints. Tell the truth when I can, and I know that the story's true, that I'm passing on to y'all, or I've experienced it myself. And I like to come up with that unedited and just walk around and talk to y'all and tell you. So I have to wait on a day when it's not cold or not raining or not hot, and then, you know, of course I work myself too, so I have to wait on days like that, you know, I'm not busy or anything. So that's why you don't see more content from me. That's why I don't make no money off of my content, because I'd hate for people to have to depend on me to turn around and put something out, you know. But anyhow, I did want to touch bases and pass this little story on to you. Like I said, it's not my story. I can vouch that this old guy was a straight shooter, straightforward, and he believed what he was saying. What he was talking about in the stories that he told us when I was young, I can tell he believed them, and he made me believe them. Like I say, there's no internet in those days. So, you know, something had to happen for these people to know about it. Wasn't on the news. So, you go figure. Kind of adds a little bit of truth to it. But anyway, guys, I've made a long story even longer. I'm going to get off from here and get out of these woods and drive down to the next pasture there and see if I see anything. And I will be hollering at you guys a little bit later on. I have a few more stories to tell. So, y'all take it easy. See you, bye.